Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a traditional coq au vin recipe, but with white wine, known as coq au vin blanc. It's a delicious chicken dish that you can make in the spring that's a little bit lighter with more spring flavors than the traditional coq au vin. But if you want the traditional coq au vin, I have that recipe too, and I will link to it below. So the first thing you want to do is salt your chicken legs, and then on top of that, we're going to add a little bit of freshly cracked pepper, and then on top of that, we're also going to use a little bit of herbs de Provence. So we can let the chicken hang out here, and the next thing we're going to do is saute up our lardons. So lardons are typically just like American bacon, except for it's thicker and it's cut into little chunks. We're going to saute this up, and then we're going to cook the chicken in the lardon fat. It's quite good. Okay, so we're going to add our lardons to a hot smoking pot. And I like to make coq au vin in a low brazier like this, something that has a lid to it, so that you can bring it oven to table when it's all done. So you just want to cook your bacon until it's golden brown and looks a little bit crispy. And then you can transfer it to a plate lined with a paper towel to drain. Then you want to keep the fat in the bottom of the pan because we're going to use that to sear off our chicken legs. At this stage, you don't need to cook the chicken all the way through. We're just looking to get a nice sear on it and add additional flavor in the pan. We're going to continue roasting this chicken in the oven. And I do that because that way you get crispy skin all the way around and you don't have to worry about doing that in a pan, which can be a little bit greasy and messy. This way the oven does all the work for you. Then you're going to bake your chicken at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for just 20 to 25 minutes until golden brown and cooked through. So now we have this beautiful chicken fat that's left in the pan that we are going to saute our vegetables in. So I have a cup of leeks. I've just sliced them into half moons, just the white parts. And then I also have 1/3 of a cup of diced shallots. And just saute those up until they're nice and translucent and fragrant. And then to that, we're gonna add 2/3 cup of diced carrots and 1/2 cup of diced celery. I like to use slightly different cuts for the vegetables, meaning the leeks are in half moons, the shallots are minced, the carrots are a medium dice, the celery is a large dice. Just because I think when the recipe is done and you go to spoon over the sauce onto the chicken, it just makes the sauce a little bit more interesting if you have different shapes. And we do eat first with our eyes. Then at this stage, you can season your vegetables with a little bit of salt and freshly cracked pepper. I do like to put a top on them and allow them to steam so that those carrots become nice and fork tender. They take the longest amount of time, so I just kind of give them about 5 minutes. All right, so now it's time for our white wine for our coq au vin blanc. I am using a local Sauvignon Blanc, but you could use a Chardonnay, a Pinot Grigio if you prefer. And now we just want to simmer this and then take your wooden spoon and kind of scrape up any of the brown bits that are still left at the bottom. There's a ton of flavor in those bits, and we want to incorporate it with the rest of our sauce. Then once the wine is cooked down by about 1/3, you can add 3 cups of chicken broth, 2 cloves of minced garlic, and then I also like to add 1 to 2 dashes of Worcestershire sauce. At this stage, we want to bring this to a boil because the sauce is pretty thin the way it is now, and we want to thicken it. While that's coming to a boil, we're going to create a slurry. So in this glass, I have 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of very cold water. The water has to be cold in order for the slurry to work, and that is going to thicken our sauce. You can feel it just with the whisk, how it becomes heavier and thicker. And then once it's been thickened, then I also like to add a little bit of creaminess in the form of 2 tablespoons of heavy cream, just to make it a little bit more decadent. Then you want to add back in your bacon that you cooked earlier. And then for some lovely springtime flavor, I do like to add just a little zest of lemon, just to brighten everything up a little bit. And then you also want to add 2 tablespoons of freshly chopped parsley. Okay, this is sort of the extra credit move, but I do think it makes a bit of a difference. And that is to saute our mushrooms in some butter in a separate pan. Now, if you're not that picky, you could just add the mushrooms after you cook the carrots and the celery. It would probably be fine, but I really love the flavor you get when you brown the mushrooms separately in butter. So I do this one little step. You want a pan that's wide enough so that when you add the mushrooms, and I've got 1.5 cups of sliced white mushrooms, they can spread out a bit. There, and once they look good, you can just go ahead and add them to your pot. Then when your chicken is done, it'll be nice and beautiful and golden brown. And then just spoon over this delicious sauce over your chicken. And then you can add a little bit more of freshly chopped parsley on top. I would serve this dish with either some mashed potatoes, rice, or if you wanted to make it super easy, you even could do some buttered noodles. That would also be good. I hope you guys give this one a try and let me know what you think, and I'll see you back here next time. Until then, bye.